Well, hey folks, it's Mike from Profiling Evil, and this is a little teaser to try to drive you over to Court TV to watch the trial of Charlie Adelson. He's accused of being part of this murder scheme to kill his former brother-in-law. Now, there's already 3 people in prison for this murder, and he's the last to go to trial. It's an interesting one because the parents of Charlie Adelson have pleaded the fifth and are not testifying. Many say because they were involved. I'll let you be the deciding factor on that. But I spoke with Court TV today to talk about the case and to explore some of the testimony given by the FBI special agent who talked about some of the forensics and the investigation overall.
All right, a perfect time to bring back in retired police commander Mike King. All right, Mike. Here we have a lot of great testimony in a very short amount of time. We had the testimony, first of all, about the money, follow the money and the motive, and then about that car. What stood out to you about what you're listening to?
The thing that I like the most, Judge, is the fact that they are corroborating much of what the prosecution introduced during those opening statements. The fact that there was a vehicle that was tied to a relationship to the defendant, and that vehicle was used by people that were tied to that same individual, traveling to the location and following this Markel, who is deceased now, but shows that there was targeting going on, that there was pre-planning going on. The money trail is going to be really interesting because it's going to show how money moved from the defendant eventually over and to the people who committed this homicide, and the ex-girlfriend in the middle. And I think that's going to be really important as they tie this thing together, especially when they talk about all the code words that were being used in the discussions about the potential of being forced to pay some type of money to stay quiet. I really like the way they're laying this out, and I like the fact that the agent that's providing this intel is pretty calm. He's really likable as you listen to him, and I think the jury's going to connect with him and that testimony.
I agree with you. He's very reasonable level and just giving the information of what his investigation revealed. That's a lot of money. You know, one life insurance policy worth $2 million. Then he has the 401k, the $4,800 a month, plus some others. So a lot of money at stake. But tell me a little bit more about the code words. Is this something you typically see when you investigated cases, or is this a little unusual?
To me, this one's a little unusual, and I'd love your opinion on this, but generally you don't see people this organized when a crime's committed like this. You see more of a very disorganized, evolving case. But as this one goes on and you start hearing some of the stuff that comes out in the wiretaps, you hear the code words being used, you see this reflection back on the amount of money that was gained by Markel's death through the children. All of that becomes really inspiring for focusing more closely on this defendant. And I think he's going to have a really tough hill to climb to get past all of these associations that keep centering back on him and his parents, and of course his sister's parents to the deceased husband.
And I agree with you. I think it might be a big hill to climb for the defense, so long as the prosecution spoon feeds the jury, because it's a convoluted set of facts because of what you just said, Mike. There's so many family members involved on each side. I think they just have to make certain they keep that straight for the jury so it makes sense as we're listening to all these little bits and pieces and relationships. All right, thank you so much for joining us today and all your expertise.
The victim in this case is former brother-in-law Dan Markel. He was a really well-respected criminal justice professor down in Florida, and his wife happens to be Charlie Adelson's sister, Wendi. Now, she was trying to, after an ugly divorce, move the children to a different location in Florida, and he was going to have nothing to do with it. And prosecutors are alleging that that all led to the follow-up of this custody battle when he was gunned down in the driveway of his Tallahassee home. This one is a pretty compelling case, especially when you start to see the money and the way in which that money was dispersed. Well, folks, I hope you'll go over to Court TV and catch some of the videos on this one and try to keep up to speed. I really think it's going to be an interesting case because it involves so many different players. It's an incredibly complex case, and like the judge said in this little Court TV interview that I did, unless the prosecution clearly outlines what happened, they may lose this one. Otherwise, it seems like it's pretty cut and dried that they should be able to get a conviction. So I'm going to be looking for your thoughts below, and I hope you'll continue to check out Profiling Evil. Make sure you're looking for us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And by the way, folks, if you like podcasts, check out Profiling Evil Podcasts. Thanks so much for your support, and we'll see you soon at the next crime scene.